Do you know the Democrats have funded $36 million to these riots? Do you understand that?
Funded. I need to see what you're talking about.
Actually estimated that the
Look it up. I'm not going to do your research for you.
You're not going to do any research.
Listen to yourself.
Republican.
Listen to all of yourself. You're literally listening. Yeah, I don't give a shit about any of them. That's what I'm trying to say.
Because you're not a true Democrat. You don't know what you're talking about. So hush. Listen.
What are you talking about, dude? I'm a fucking libertarian.
Democrats back in the day used to vote as Republicans that they do now. Democrats changed from being a Democrat to a Republican.
Dude, the point I'm saying is both parties have been compromised. Both parties do not deserve the privilege to lead us. Both parties have split you guys down the middle, and the result is destruction.
Because the truth is coming out. Because the truth is coming out. Because Trump is president.
The truth is coming out, dude. I've known truths. I've known these truths since 2012, before I graduated fucking high school, bro.
What you mean, dude?
You're talking about. You guys are up here talking about shit that doesn't even matter. Oh, the riots are happening in LA. There's been riots for the last 10,000 years. And the same people that get in power are the ones that orchestrate
like this. It's always the left doing it. And they've done it for no valid reason.
Listen, every time things simmer down, do you guys never understand that? I'm sorry, go ahead and finish.
Killing and burning black people, towns, focusing on an outgroup and just rioting against them.
No, they would just rather these illegal immigrants come over here and destroy our country and just run our country down. And
they're not destroying your country.
How are they not destroying
every time things simmer down.
Destroyed the Kobe Bryant memorial.
Listen,
I know.
So you're telling me an immigrant that comes over here illegally and works for underneath the table and doesn't have to pay taxes is benefiting you? Please explain to me how that's benefiting.
Yes, they are still paying taxes. Though, they have to pay income
sales tax at a fucking grocery store? What, a sales tax?
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I was a landscaper for 5+ years, and I'm going to tell you a horrifying truth right now for you Democrats that don't want to accept this. I know firsthand that people that come here and work off the books under the table illegally, you know what they do with their money? They don't pay taxes with it. They take it and they send it home to other countries. Yes, they support their families, and I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, they're not paying taxes. They're shipping it out of the country.
But did you just say?
So before you just said I know that firsthand.
They're here legally.
They still have to buy things and use sales tax. And when they work
motherfucker, do you understand that sales tax is the smallest portion of this country's revenue?
Well, it also gets money moving through the economy.
You're not paying like no
Tell me how much. Tell me how much money, state and federal, that the illegal immigrants are paying into it. Then
let me Google that right now.
Give me a number.
Oh, I'll tell you. I can tell you without Googling it. 0.
That's not true.
Yeah.
0%.
Why is this okay?
So tell me how much money that we're putting into the illegal immigration status and stuff that's going on. Tell us how much money we're putting into this stuff.
Into deporting them? That's an argument against it.
Now, let me ask you guys an even deeper question. Why would you continue to let both of these parties fail you day by day, watching all this unfold?
Pushing for a third actual left party.
Why?
The Democrats are
the left wing. Listen, a house divided cannot stand. Lincoln said that. The left wing and the right wing belong to the same bird. I don't know how many things I gotta say until you guys understand that it's a dog and pony show. The news is bought and paid for by both parties. They literally orchestrate all this behind closed doors, and then they sell it to you guys like a fucking wrestling promotion.
You're saying that it's a dog and pony show, but the only thing that you've added to this panel is that the two-party system needs to be destroyed. Wow, thank you so much for your valuable contribution, buddy. If you want to make it not a dog and pony show, then actually add anything to the conversation.
To get off my ass, and I went to. No, listen, I actually got off my ass and I did something with my life and I went to trade school and became a welder and I started contributing to this fucking country. So you can shut right the fuck up.
All I'm saying is that if you want to add something to the conversation and not make it a dog and pony show, then actually add something to the conversation. I'll turn around and take your whole argument and I'll shove it right up your ass and make you talk again about it.
Wow.
What a valuable addition to this conversation. I'm so glad that you've been up here and added anything.
You guys play into the fucking system and you act like that it's going to actually change something. It's been 50+ years of Republican and Democrats passing the buck back and forth, and you guys are still here bitching that they're both better than each other.
Do you actually have anything to add to the conversation?
It's sad whenever the Democrats have voted for the Republicans now.
Libertarianism should have been chosen years ago, and the fact that you guys think that I'm going to get sucked into this argument and pick a side is laughable.
Buddy, why are you here if you're not going to do that?
You know what I'm on the side of? I'm on the side of DTA, motherfucker.
Why are you here then?
I'm here to wake you the fuck up.
Okay, then what are you here for?
I'm here to wake you the fuck up and tell you to take your fucking dick out between your legs and start fucking using it.
America, don't vote.
Dig down, find your nuts, and fucking grow a pair.
What you mean?
And you're not going to talk about any of the issues, and you're just going to come up and talk about how the two-party system is destroying everything.
I'm telling you right now, the issues don't fucking matter. All you need to do is zoom out and look at them all and say, I'm holding you guys accountable for the problems.
The issues don't matter. You just have to think about this weird, esoteric two-party system.
Fucking retarded.
The issues don't matter. The only issue that matters is my issue.
Now tell me what exactly. So tell me what your issue is, bro. I'm listening.
What, that like the Republicans are trying to get rid of all of the illegal immigrants, and that they're somehow shifting the buck off of the fact that they tried to raid the Capitol 4 years ago?
The Democrats are going to piss you off again. And in 4 more years, when the Republicans are done having their turn, the Democrats are going to do it again to you.
Jay, buddy,
and that's my point.
This is going to be
going
hard
back and forth every 4 years. And eventually,
G,
you're going to be so gray and bald, and you're going to be in the grave while they're still fucking doing it to the younger generation.
I hate to break it to you. I'm also an independent, okay? I can criticize my party. That's fine. That's fine.
Me
but
too.
right now,
and
the
why
Republican Party is a million times worse.
Say to me, because the
Your
truth
libertarian
is,
stance is
none
no
of you guys have a spine anymore. None of you guys have a spine anymore.
Hey, Dub sounds like he's cool with illegals coming over here and sex trafficking and everything else. He's cool
no,
with
I'm
that,
not.
man. He's cool with it.
You guys again are putting it in my mouth. I'm cool with dismantling both parties and saying you're barred from politics in America. New parties, let's go. Get them on the
Barred from
paper.
politics? What does that look
Let's
like?
get the debates going again. Let's get the debates going again. Let's get more people.
Make AOC a bartender again.
When I hopped in,
I'm just saying, dude. We used to go.
I think the question was like,
when I was a kid, I literally would flip through the debates, and I would see my parents watching it, and you had way more parties up there, way more discussions, way more actual politics. Now your shit's bought and paid for by the two parties.
Yeah, now the real politics we need to be talking about
like
is the two-party system and tying everything back to that. That's the real politics we need to be talking about.
I'm retarded because I don't have a problem with a certain side. Like, no. I have a problem with all sides, and I'm pissed off at the fact that we all have to be turned.
But I can promise you one thing: Trump is following the law, and Trump is doing what the fuck he needs to do to get this country back in the street.
So that's not true.
Okay.
No, removing the Republican Democrat side and creating different parties is just going to be the same thing, just with different party names.
It's just going to be a disaster.
It's going to be the same thing.
We could make a further left party that
like,
actually advocates for like left
One
values.
and only time recently we had a different party on the presidential platform in a debate for the general election was Ross Perot.
Yeah, it's just not realistic.
He's the only one, and he's the only one that garnered enough attention in polls to get up there because it's a polling and money issue. They don't have the attention in polling nor money to compete.
And am I wrong in saying he barely made it? Like compared to the other candidates?
He did barely make it, but they claim he made enough of a dent in the election that it potentially hurt H.W. Bush.
Right.
But we don't know. Nobody's for sure if people would have went with Bush.
Whenever I had hopped in the panel, the reason I hopped in actually was I believe I heard somebody discussing the deficit with illegal immigration, and the topic was that they pay into the system, and then somebody had asked how much deficit do they cause? Do you guys actually know those numbers? Because I have them on hand.
I googled them as well.
Yeah, so Google, I'm asking, okay, is that your source, or does Google give you the actual source to it? And while you're looking for that, my point is that illegal immigrants actually do pay into the system. About 152 million is give or take.
And how much are they losing? How much are they losing?
Hold on.
Let me land my plane.
Let him finish.
This is what I do, literally. So let me land my plane. They do pay into the system 152 billion. Their deficit, what they take from the system is about 360 billion. So if you do simple math, take 360 minus the 152 that you're claiming that they put into the system, we're still in a deficit of billion. We're still in a deficit of about 160 some odd $billion that we pay.
Where are you getting those
illegal
numbers?
Immigrants to be here. I'm sorry?
Where are you getting those numbers?
You could get them from
the tax income is right. What's the deficit from?
You can get them from the useconomy.gov website. You can get them from Statista.
Is there like a study you're citing, or is there like a particular website?
Yeah, there's been multiple studies actually since 1994.
Can you like DM me any of them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just
like
say
I said,
that?
I actually, this is what I do. I do political debates. I have it actually ready. I could possibly even pull it up on my screen for you guys.
Can I just say then if that's the case, right? Why don't we then just make the process of going from being an immigrant to being a citizen of the United States? I'm not saying make it necessarily easier, but why are we not investing then in sort of like getting these people integrated into the system as citizens?
We don't
that's
reward criminals for coming here the illegal way.
Yeah, but
well, hear me out. So the I think that was directed towards me, but and my answer to that would be that you are absolutely correct. I do believe that both the Democrats and Republicans have failed the system because it's obviously not working, right? But here's my thing. Just because it's not working doesn't mean that you take advantage of it and break the law anyways.
I understand that. I just think that there's like, to me, like, life is about thresholds, right? There's someone who, maybe, their tail light is out, right? And then there's someone who hits somebody with their car and then drives away, right? And so for me, I feel like we as human beings, we have that natural ability to sort of realize what is a threshold. Now, at the end of the day, the point of being an American, the point of being a human being at the end of the day is to be a positive, productive member of society, right? So if an individual is a positive and productive member of society, and we as a society, as America, as the superpower that we are, want to have the best and the brightest, we want to encourage the best and the brightest to come to this country, why don't we then just sort of put things up on a threshold line and say, hey, listen, okay, we understand you came here illegally. We want you to come here through the legal pathways. Why are we not then providing people options other than just detaining them and sending them away? Why don't
that costs so much money to taxpayers as well?
But we also have to think about from the standpoint of this, right?
If they've already been over here for 10 to 15 years, that's plenty of long enough.
Right. I know plenty of people who, I know people who have obviously come here illegally, right? And they have been here for 10 or 15 years. Should it take 10 or 15 years for an individual to become a citizen of the United States?
It shouldn't. But whenever you have stuff going on in the world like this is what slows the process down. Stuff like this is what stops everything from going around, and for people to trying to get over here the legal way. This is what slows it down, because they have to put their time into illegals and do stuff that they got to fix stuff to get stuff back to where they needed to be.
So the federal, you have about 700 immigration judges, but they're being filled with dealing with all this crap for people that aren't even going to get asylum because they get caught and they said asylum, but they've been here for 10 years.
If only there was more immigration judges, that would be great. Can I make a comment?
If they weren't coming here illegally and they did the legal process, it wouldn't tie up the court system.
I want to ask real.
It's too late.
What is it? Real American. So everything that I'm seeing, like almost every economic study, shows that the fiscal impact of even illegal immigrants is good. Like, they're making Social Security more solvent because they're paying into it and not taking out of it, because most of the immigrants that come over here are working age. I don't know if the number that you're seeing includes like the cost that it takes to deport them.
You're looking at immigrants. You're looking at immigrants in general. So the studies you're looking at, actually, like, they're referring to immigrants as a whole, and what I'm referring to is illegal immigrants that don't have a work visa. So that's the difference in the studies that we're looking at.
With the cost that they're bringing, are like what is all included in that? Are we including, like, because obviously they're not here to take out Medicaid or Social Security because they're not going to be old enough to really do that.
Okay, so for an example,
are we counting like the price it takes to deport them?
Listen, for an example, yeah, it does cost money to deport them, but at the end of the day, you can't just leave people here that you don't know who they are.
Wait,
that's
so why are we putting the fiscal responsibility on them for getting deported? That's a government cost, not their cost.
Do you know what a conversation is? You asked me a question, I went to answer you. Can you hold off?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the problem with it and what you're saying is, one, you're looking at immigrants, legal immigrants, which I don't think anybody on this panel have a problem with legal immigrants.
Not at all.
Okay,
Come
so
legally, you're
having
good.
said that, we are referring to undocumented, illegal, non-work visa, non-green card, non-asylum, non-approved immigrants. That is what we are referring to right now. Are you on the same page?
I haven't seen any study in regard to that, but I mean, sure, if you have something good, yeah.
And in regards to what? Are you saying that they don't exist?
No, I'm saying they exist, but like, how do we even measure their economic impact if we have no documentation of them?
Hear me out real quick. If they are undocumented, they are not on an SR-22. They are not here on a work visa. They are not here paying any federal taxes. Yes, they're paying local sales tax when they buy Corona. I'll give them that. But at the end of the day, if they get pregnant or have a leg chopped off or any emergency and they go to the emergency room, are they going to deny them or are they going to accept them?
They're probably going to accept them.
No,
okay, so there's a deficit, right? There's a medical deficit that I'm referring to right there that you're not touching on.
Well, that's why I was asking. I'm asking, like, what are your studies that you're citing including? Because if we're including, like, the cost to deport them, then that's not something we should be putting on the immigrants. And if we're not counting the amount of money that they add circulating through the economy, then that feels like something valuable to add.
That's a very good point that you have, actually. And I'd have to look in to see if they include the cost of deporting them. But I would second to say that it should be included in the cost because at the end of the day, we have to deport them. We can't just say, okay, well, you made it, and I guess you broke the law, and you got us.
If the argument is that if we don't deport them, then they're going to be less of a drain on the economy, and you say, well, they're going to be a drain on the economy because it costs money to deport them, that's kind of ignoring the whole point.
It's okay. So what you're missing is there's an economy factor to this, right? That's what we're discussing right now. But the second factor to it is a lot of us Americans would accept that it costs more to deport them for the safety factor. That's the factor that comes along with it as well. Knowing who's here, knowing what they're about, knowing what their charges were in other countries before we accept them.
You can make the safety argument, and I'd probably actually agree with you on that argument. Now we would super disagree. We would super. Can I please finish, and then we can kick off to the rest? I would probably agree with you on the safety problem. We definitely wouldn't agree on limiting asylum or whatever, like Trump is trying to do. But we would probably agree on that point. But that point is completely separate from the economic point.
No, again, it is separate from the economic point, but that you have to understand that people that want deportation in the way that Republicans want deportation, there's three factors that come along with it. One of it is the economy portion. They don't like the fact that any of our money is going to people that don't pay in, regardless if some of them do, some of them don't.
So why not just give them the opportunity to pay in? That's what I'm saying. Like,
true, yeah, amnesty would probably be an answer to that.
There's money to be made.
You guys understand that they have you guys understand that 37% of immigrants that come over here and create a court date, 37% of them do not show up for their court date. They just show up.
Yeah,
it's in like years.
They're not going to show up because they already did the asylum.
Well, no, that's the court date.
I mean,
that is.
But like, so
usually
even if
when their case gets dismissed, they run.
Let's say
they're no longer allowed to be here.
Let's say 37% don't show up for their court date. Why not mobilize ICE for the 37% and then give amnesty to the rest of the percent, and then those people will pay more in taxes because they're working age.
Because they're gonna do the same thing that the other people doing. They're gonna just keep running, bro. They're just gonna keep running.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The people who show up to their court dates, we can give amnesty, and then the people who run away, we can get with ICE.
We're gonna encourage it, so then they'll call up their boy Juan and say, "Hey, come over here. They gave me amnesty. We'll hide you out for a few years. When you get caught, they'll give you amnesty too."
I don't think that's
no, not when they get caught. It's when it's giving them a court date, and then if they show up to the court date, then they get amnesty, and if they don't show up to the court date, then they get deported.
But also, if you had the option to just come in legally and skip this whole mess, would you not pick that from the start?
Also, you have to think about
honestly, I think before
already.
we have the conversation of coming in legally, we have to have the conversation about Donald Trump reopening the border, because right now you can't come in legally. And then we also have to have the conversation about completely reforming our border process, because the wait times are fucking insane. That we have every opportunity already, or every incentive already to come in illegally.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why people come in illegally in the first place.
There's clearly
saying they can't come here the legal way.
Donald Trump
saying
shut
that-
down
I don't know
physical
where you-
entry into the southern border.
Right. But all I'm saying is this: there's clearly individuals that, okay, they came in here illegally, but they work, they contribute to our society. Heck, they contribute to some of our prices being as low as they could possibly be here. I mean, even the president has acknowledged that he's going to try to limit the actions of ICE on farmers and people that work in hospitality, right? Reversing elements of that executive order yesterday. So my feeling is that, okay, you have people here that obviously contribute to those aspects that make our lives easier, right? So why don't we give those people the option? I know you're saying, okay, well then they'll call their boy up and they'll say, hey, well they'll give me amnesty. Well, here's the thing about calling their boy up and saying, hey, boy, they're going to give me amnesty, right? That person who's going to be, I guess, I don't want to say represented, but sort of like that person is going to have to go through the same process. They're going to have to show that they want to work in the United States. They're going to have to show that they want to contribute to the society of the United States. They still have to go through that process. They can't just like come here. And if we're already in a situation where they have to go through the process of the southern border and come here through the means legally at that point in time, then that wouldn't make a difference, because then they'd be coming here legally at that point in time.
I have a good little, because I've argued this point before, and this is a good analogy for you. I have 6 fleet trucks under my company. I spend massive amounts of money at Wawa for gas. Can I go in there and steal a candy bar?
I don't think that's the same kind of contribution.
Why? I contribute to Wawa thousands of dollars every month. What is a $2 Snickers? Why can't I steal that?
I don't think that's the same analogy.
It's not comparable.
It's not comparable. That's the problem.
So you're saying that because they are good people, they're surplus, they're contributing, blah blah blah, that they can break the law?
No, because Wawa stands to lose way more from that $2 than the U.S. stands to lose from illegal immigration. And I don't think that you've. I don't think that you've demonstrated. I don't think you've demonstrated satisfactory that undocumented immigrants.
I'm not the only one
are
stealing it. I'm not the only one with fleet accounts.
Here's what I'll give.
I'm talking about everybody that contributes to Wawa being able to steal.
I'll give you this.
Exactly. Yeah, that's going to be more of a drain.
It'd be like the equivalent of this, right? I used to live in New Jersey, right? And I'm a musician. I get paid, right? And we would do shows on the Jersey Shore all the time. And the one thing that we would talk about as musicians all the time would be that it would be great if the city that we were performing, or even just the state, because we've seen them kind of do this in states like Louisiana, stuff like this, would offer musicians who work a certain amount of gigs either a pass or a parking pass to be able to perform music without having to pay the ridiculous meter that would have to be paid for them to unload their trucks, to unload instruments, things of that nature, right? So it would be like, then people would go, well, then the city would lose money because they wouldn't there wouldn't be people that would be parking in that spot. And then they couldn't have like the parking police come by and then give those people tickets. And then the township makes money from the people who parked wrong, right? It's like, yes, but there's already a permit and that person is contributing to the town because they're contributing to the business of that town, right? That would make more sense as your analogy of, okay, they come in here illegally, right? And it's you're trying to say the $2 candy bar to the price of gas, but these people are contributing to society. We should be encouraging them to be a part of American society. And you have to think about this from a political standpoint as well. The party that obviously aids in saying to and encouraging people to contribute to society gets those votes, stays in power, right? You have to realize that you have to at least acknowledge in some way, shape, or form that the way that the immigration process is being done is a little more chaotic than it should be, right? And that doesn't
It
mean
has
that
been since Clinton, though. That's the thing. It's not
right,
like
right.
this
I
isn't a new
understand
thing.
that, but right now we live in a very in a society where people are the spread of information is faster, the spread of visual is faster, the spread of sort of like what people can see, the treatment of people, etc., how people can be emotionally manipulated by these elements, etc. You want to encourage these people to vote for you, right? And let's be real, there is a large chapter of, I'll say, the Latino community who does vote for Donald Trump. There's a large swath of those people who do vote for the president, right? And they were under the impression that they thought this was going to be strictly about violent criminals. That's what they saw, right? No one is going to say that a violent criminal should not be removed or ejected from this country. We can all agree that that's the case. But when they're seeing the situation, and I've seen it, I live right now in Philadelphia, when you're seeing, ICE raids happening in schools with children trying to lure those people out, that's not what it's a little chaotic. And I think from a political standpoint, it doesn't reflect good when it comes to a midterm. It doesn't reflect good when it comes to a state election. It doesn't reflect good, and then you end up in a deficit when it comes to votes later on. There's a means of being able to do this in a structured and precise way that I think could benefit everybody, as opposed to this sensationalized nightmare that's going on.
So I agree with you, but here's the problem with it. Here is the biggest problem with what you just said. It's not a Republican issue. Everybody, you guys, I just want, bear with me here. I'm gonna A, B, C, D. We got Clinton, Obama, and Biden, and then we got Donald Trump. Out of all four of those people, we have 3 Democrats and 1 Republican. Out of all 4 of those people, who deported the most?
Obama, but he had different.
And then no, and then second, who was second, and then who was third?
I assume second was probably
Clinton,
Biden.
It actually goes Clinton, Obama, Biden. Okay. Clinton, Obama, Biden, then Trump. So why is the heat only when it's Republicans? That's all I'm asking.
The heat is, for me, the heat is not because it's Republicans.
Exactly.
Heat is the method.
I mean, though? Like you guys had the House, the Senate, and the White House when Biden first got in. Why was this not reorganized?
The heat is coming from 2 things. The heat is coming from Republican pressure on Democrats to deport more. That I'm pretty sure that's where a lot of the deportations are coming from. And then second of all, the pressure is coming from Donald Trump doing it illegally. A lot of the deportations that we're seeing from Donald Trump right now are illegal because he's trying to remove people.
You can't.
I can give you cases. I can give you cases.
Yeah. Which case?
Give me 1 second.
Well, Garcia's back, so that's a non-issue.
That was illegal, though, right? That was illegal, though, right?
He's getting charged.
But that was illegal, though, right?
No, only because the withholding status never got removed due to his illegal activities.
So it was illegal. Yes, that's the answer.
Withholding status just didn't get removed.
The human trafficker illegally got.
Yeah, I know. Come on.
He was not.
Okay, so if you want to look into,
be all up in this country.
If you want to look into WMM versus Trump, if you want to look into Trump v. JGG, if you want to look into Garcia v. Nome, if you want to look into DVD versus Homeland Security, those are all class action lawsuits about how they were illegally deported.
And also, I just want to say this. I mean, obviously, you can probably see from my picture, I'm an African American male, right? A lot of the stuff that's being argued that's being argued as it should be flexible to do these deportations, and the president has also said this, were things that were developed that actually aided in the freedom of my demographic of individuals, right? Habeas corpus, all those types of things, the stuff that sort of had to specifically do with the enslavement of people who look like me. So the problem that I have as a person, I have to think about from a community standpoint. Hold on. I just want to say this. The problem that I have from a person who's looking at this from a community standpoint is if it doesn't become just a flexibility, but becomes an erosion, not necessarily by Donald Trump, not necessarily by Republicans, but by anybody who might come after this situation, right? Anybody who might want to go in the complete anarchical. Doesn't matter if they're left, right, doesn't matter what it is, right? I have to think about from a community standpoint what that does to me. People after me have to think about what that does from a community standpoint when it's dealt with the people that look like me. So the thing that's what I'm saying is I'm just saying there's ways to do this that don't have to use the flexibilities, that don't have to, I don't know, take out the bone structure of things that actually do protect American citizens.
So I agree with you, but here's the problem: is that you can't deport millions and millions of people like Barack Obama did with due process. So you're wrong. All the deportations that are going on right now, aside from the enactment of with that old bill where he tried to use that to deport some people, aside from that, literally aside from that, there is not a single thing else that he's doing differently than Obama.
That's not true.
Not true.
It is absolutely, aside from the Alien Enemies Act, find me one, because you guys also know this, and I'll pull this study up. Obama was the most challenged president by the Supreme Court of our lifetime.
So maybe I missed something from Obama. Was there ever a problem with Obama removing people to unauthorized third countries?
No, because the media was silent.
Okay, so that's another problem with that Donald Trump has that Obama doesn't.
The only part,
I also want to say this.
I guarantee you it happened. You guys didn't fucking care.
Do you have any evidence that it happened, or are you just
you need to actually give us the evidence that happened.
Okay, yeah, you guys talk amongst yourself. I'll be right back with Supreme Court orders under Obama that he deported people wrongfully. Actually, I have that right now.
Not that they deported people wrongfully, but that they deported people wrongfully in the same way. I don't doubt that they maybe deported some people wrongfully.
They deported people wrongfully. Why does it have to be exact? Well, you want me to find a case where he sent somebody to El Salvador specifically?
No, because
I'm telling you, he broke the law.
You asked for a situation where Donald Trump broke immigration law in a way that Obama didn't, and I just provided you one.
No, I'm saying that find me a way that Obama did not do what Donald Trump is doing aside from the Alien Enemies Act.
I just said Donald Trump is removing people to unauthorized third countries.
But also too.
You're talking about one person.
It's a class action.
I do also want to say this, though. The Alien and Enemies Act is a big deal.
True.
Okay? We're trying to act as like, okay, that's a bad one, but let's think about that's a really big deal. Okay? That's a big deal that is not just on that doesn't just have to do with immigrants.
I mean, if you're here, but it came up whenever you guys have to. I mean, listen, it came up. This came up when students were here on student visas harassing Jewish students, and that's not okay either.
The student visas is completely separate from the Alien Enemies Act. That's not the same thing.
You'll be able to respond in a second, but the State Department actually controls both. But so at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, yes, the State Department has the absolute authority to remove visas. Actually, you can have your citizenship taken by the State Department. Did you know that? You can have your citizenship taken.
Okay, I understand that. True. My
point is, when you have students that are here in this great country and they're taking advantage of our visas and our schooling system and everything that we have to offer, and then they go and they get in the faces of Jewish people and tell them that they need to alive and that they need to go somewhere, and they stop them from going to class, and those are American citizens. Yes. Why would you guys not agree with, hey, you guys don't want to be here that bad? You want to get in the faces and be racist to people here? You have to go.
Can I say this then? Then if that's the case, then why? And I'm gonna bring this up, and I don't mean to bring this up for a sensationalized mean. I mean this from a literal, just from just the standpoint. In the first term, why didn't we go after all those people that were chanting "Jews will not replace us" through Charlottesville?
True.
Why didn't we go? We had no problem
They're
hold on.
legal citizens, and we did have a problem with it.
I understand that they're legal citizens, but you just said that the State Department has the ability to take citizenship away from individuals.
True.
Why did we not take away the citizenship of those people?
Naturalized.
Well, also, I mean,
What?
I want
Because
to.
you're not understanding.
I want to make
People
sure.
that gain citizenship that you can remove.
I want to make
people
sure
that
we're
are
clear.
naturalized. That's the difference.
I want to make sure we're clear. The Alien Enemies Act and removing student visas has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with each other. There's absolutely no correlation between the two. And I also want to make sure that we add that it wasn't ruled that the detainment of Mahmoud Khalil was illegal. Didn't they rule that because the statute that you're referring to is unconstitutionally vague? Didn't they say that?
I don't think the Supreme Court did.
Not the Supreme Court, the district courts.
I think a federal judge. Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
A federal judge.
Do they not have jurisdiction?
Until it goes up.
Yeah, but then they get appealed.
I'm gonna tell you like this, guys. I'm gonna tell you like this. It does not fucking matter until it gets to the Supreme Court.
Wait, how? The district court is legally binding.
Because the federal judge blocked Trump with the Marines and the National Guard being used in Cali. It immediately went to the appeals and they put a stay on it as they make a decision. Because it was a liberal, freaking Democrat appointed judge, and all these Democrat appointed judges are just immediately opposing Trump.
By the way, that law was absolutely absolutely
Republican
illegal.
Judges who are also standing up to Trump in the measure when it comes to his illegal immigration measures. The judge who did the ruling for Kilmar Abrego Garcia was a judge that was appointed by him during his first term.
Yeah, I know, and that's because of the withholding status and the fact that they were claiming he needs to be able to be here in his appeals to be able to say he's not part of MS-13.
Just for clarification, the law that Donald Trump cited to deploy the National Guard said that those commands need to go through the governor, right?
Nope.
No, it didn't say that?
No.
That would be
Title 10 does not say that.
Do you want do you want to look up Title 10 section 12406?
Pull Title 10 up, Hall.
The quote is I'll read the quote right now. The president may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in manners as he considers necessary to repel invasion, suppress rebellion, or execute those laws. This is where Donald Trump. Hold on. This is where Donald Trump cut off because he didn't want to cite the rest of it. Orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states, or in cases of the District of Columbia, through the commanding general of the National Guard of the District of Columbia. So there's a reason that he cut off. There's a reason he cut it off right in the middle of the statute. I thought that was really interesting.
And also, too, I just want to say this. I'm pretty sure we all here believe in there being...
The reason why it was cut off was it wasn't... Hold on, Drew. As the courts interpret that law, it's different from how it's read. I hope you guys can hear me. I know I got bars. But how it's
Can't hear you, buddy.
The governor does not need to give consent for the National Guard to be deployed. All right, how about now?
Yeah.
How about now? Is that better?
Better.
All right, so what the law states is through. It doesn't mean that how the courts interpret it is that the governor does not need consent. The governor needs to be notified. That's what the federal courts of the United States of America say.
Can you give me a case that says
Trump
that?
Didn't violate the law. And also,
wait, hold on. Can you give me a case that says that?
The BrennanCenter.org says that, but you can look it up yourself. I assure you, everything that I say.
Wait, why are you saying there are cases that ruled something that if you don't know the case?
Because that's what my research.
I think he meant from like an example when he was saying like case. So I think he meant like in the case of this situation, in the case of that situation. I think it was just a little.
Well, if he's saying federal judges ruled that this isn't how the statute applies, then I'd need a case to be able to fact check that.
That's how they interpret it. That's how they interpret it. The law is interpreted as the governor has to be notified. The governor does not need to give consent. That's what the law.
I need substantiation of that. Is there like any case that they ruled that in favor of, or? Because it's my understanding that the only time that the president can go over the governor's head in deploying the National Guard is in times of insurrection, and he'd need to declare the Insurrection Act in order to do that, and Donald Trump never did that.
So you're telling me it's cool for the governor to fund So you're telling me it's cool for the governor to fund $34 million for these illegal aliens just to destroy California?
Yeah, you know, I remember a couple months ago when the Republicans were the party of states' rights, and now all of a sudden they want to completely erode states' rights and give all the power to the governor, or give all the power to the president.
Also, I have an issue with the way that this is being communicated by the current administration, because I listened to Kristi Noem's speech the other day, and
y'all didn't see nothing that was going underneath the Biden administration because it was all hid from you.
No, hold on.
And everything's getting blowed up in y'all's face, and now y'all seeing it, and now it's like, oh shit, the truth is out.
Sir, you're making it seem as though we are like Biden, like ride or die people, and we're not that. We're just.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying y'all agree with most of their policies that should not even agree with.
No, there are elements of those things that we don't agree with, and we'd be very open if that was the discussion that we were having. What I'm trying to say to you is this. From a states' rights standpoint, right, Kristi Noem's speech that she gave the other day had nothing to do with anything that strictly had to do with immigration. Her big point that she mentioned was that it was about liberating the state from socialist individuals, not just from the standpoint of the people who were protesting, but from the standpoint of the actual elected officials in that state itself. How on earth can we talk about an element of states' rights, right, and states' rights mattering in the United States of America if we're going to talk about the actual idea of removing elected individuals from a state? That is a problem. And on top of that, too, I just want to say something that backfires real quickly to the people that support that as well. You wouldn't like it if Joe Biden went into Oklahoma, if Joe Biden went into Louisiana, if Joe Biden went into Georgia and attempted to remove Brian Kemp from Georgia, if he went into Oklahoma and attempted to remove Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So we shouldn't be trying to, and especially because I said this.
When has Trump tried to take out Newsom? When has he tried to arrest Newsom?
What? It's the fact that he's talking about it.
Trump never said that he was going to arrest Newsom. He never said that.
He said he would support it.
It would be a video. Hold on, no. That video that you're citing is Trump being like, I think he's a great man. I think he's incompetent. But if I was Homan, I would look to do it.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Hold on. He never said that he would do it. He never said that.
He said if he was Tom Homan, he would do it.
It's up to Homan.
Tom Homan, he would do it.
Also, I would like to say that I could not find a case, and that's why this case is actually going to be going on.
Okay, yeah, right? that's kind of what I figured.
No case that actually outlines the determination of 10 USC 12406. However, the reason basically why it was written, if I'm not mistaken, was so the president didn't have to invoke the Insurrection Act, because when it was written after 1965, after Johnson sent those troops down to Alabama, it was written after that, so therefore this is really the first time it's been invoked, so therefore there's going to be legal discussion about it, and how I read it.
Do you think that when it says issued through the governor, that implies consent of the governor?
No, because that's not what the law that I've researched, the stuff that I've researched, the law does not say that.
Well, I mean, it explicitly does say that, and it feels like the only research you're citing to me is vibes.
No, I'm researching the BrennanCenter.org. I literally said that like 5 times.
Yeah, I understand. The Brennan Center isn't infallible. I'm saying that they're probably wrong. I'm reading the very clear text of the law, and it seems pretty clear to me that issuing orders through the governor means through the governor, not without the governor.
Hold on, are you a lawyer?
No, but I've talked to a lawyer about this.
So you're not a lawyer. So
no, but I've talked to a lawyer. I'm telling you exactly what the lawyer I talked to said.
So you are not a lawyer, so you do not have the experience in order to determine that this is what it says. And that lawyer,
Jarvis,
you're right. I don't know if you didn't hear the second part of my set. I talked to a lawyer. I've talked to a lawyer about how this statute applies, and they said the exact same thing that I'm telling you right now.
Also, too, we live in a country where if an individual wanted to, they could defend themselves if they really wanted to without a lawyer or without a court-recommended lawyer. So he has every right to determine the interpretation, just like a lawyer has every right to determine the interpretation of the Constitution, just like a judge has to. So we can't really go by the argument of if somebody is a lawyer or not. I just want to say
What do you got up there, host?
ChatGPT.
Yeah, I know. I was just looking what ChatGPT was saying about it. I mean, I already brought it up. We'll see what they say, but regardless, Gavin Newsom's only trying to say no because he doesn't like Trump and thinks that opposing Trump is going to help him in his campaign.
He's saying no because it's a violation of his state's rights.
Not a violation when people are rioting. They're destroying.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Hold on. That's insane. It's not a violation. It's not a violation when people are rioting. Do you think that Donald Trump should be able to go over Newsom's head for one car?
Fuck.
Wait, hold on. If somebody threw
one car,
wait.
Cars lined up.
No. I'm asking you a hypothetical. I'm asking you a hypothetical. If one car was set on fire.
We're not playing hypothetical when it's
I know
reality.
because you can't answer to it. LOL.
No,
if one car was on fire, would you support Donald Trump going over? If one car,
if it didn't happen, but it happened.
Jesus.
There's multiple cars. There's multiple cars. We don't have to play the if game.
I'm asking you a hypothetical.
All I'm saying
just mute the motherfucker. Someone mute Reinhold.
Like he keeps talking over everybody.
I know.
I mean,
I'm sick and tired of it.
Because he's trying to prove a point that don't even make sense.
I'm trying to ask a question that the host is scared to answer. That's the problem.
Hypothetical when we already have it in reality, and it's multiple, not one.
So do you think any riot justifies the president going over the governor's head?
Let me ask you a question.
If the governor is not willing to create safety for federal buildings, federal employees, as well as businesses, then yes.
Hey, Ronald,
the governor's not doing his job. The mayor's not doing their job.
I thought we liked states' rights around here. That's crazy.
Shut the fuck up for a moment. Just shut up for a moment, Ronald.
We like law and order.
Ronald, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If your dad was a police officer, shut the fuck up!
Oh my God. I don't get how you don't understand. States' rights don't matter if the state's not doing what's necessary to have law and order. You think a governor not doing their job,
the president is going to step in if the governor does not do their job. Plain and simple. If you don't like it, then deal with it.
Why would we have a separation of the state and federal governments if the federal government could just trample on the state government anyway?
No. We only have it to an extent that they can create laws to add to the federal laws, but they can't create laws to take away from the federal laws. That's what you people fail to understand. You can't go against the federal government.
Yeah, the federal government enshrines the right to the National Guard in the governor, unless times of insurrection.
All right, so Reynold, do you know what
and we're at
Article
a time
10
where
even
people
states?
are going against the government. What do you call that?
There was no proclamation of insurrection.
I
Reynolds,
know.
If you think Donald Trump should sign the Insurrection Act, then that's fine.
Shut up about J6.
Reynolds,
let me ask you a quick question, man.
10. Do you know what Article 10? Hold on. Reynolds, do you know what Article 10 outlines?
Like the entirety of Article 10?
The basics of it. I'm not arguing. I'm not trying to argue semantics here, but do you know what it says? What it outlines?
I know the relevant section. I know the section that he cited. That's the only section I know.
Okay, so Article 10 basically says that any duty that is not given to the federal government is given to the states. Any law that the federal government makes supersedes any law that the state makes. All right? Correct. That's basically it. It says the states have their rights, but the federal government supersedes that.
Correct.
That's what Article 10 basically says.
Okay.
And 10 USC 12406 doesn't tread on that right.
You're right. I think Donald Trump is misciting it. That's what I'm saying. It says orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors. It explicitly says that. And Donald Trump didn't issue his through the governor.
Like we said, if the governor does not do their job, then the president has the option to step in and do what he needs to do.
With the Insurrection Act, not through this section. Donald Trump hasn't signed the Insurrection Act.
Dude, you're fucking brainwashed, man. Just shut up. You don't even know what the fuck.
Good answer,
you're
buddy.
Just so fucking
Good answer, buddy.
You're so brainwashed. You're just so far out
Good
there.
answer.
You don't even know how to turn around.
No,
you don't know what I'm talking about.
Everyone seems to want him to sign the Insurrection Act and call for martial law. when he's trying to do it without going that far.
Yeah, but the way that he's doing it is breaking the law. That's the problem.
It's not breaking the law.
It is breaking the law.
He's not breaking the law.
No, the person that's breaking the law is Gavin Newsom and not going to protect federal buildings, protect federal
what law is
employees,
Newsom breaking?
and protect citizens that aren't harming people.
What law is Newsom breaking?
Why are you guys so against?
It's not protecting the citizens that voted him to protect and serve him.
Reynolds, do you know the Democrats have funded? Do you know the Democrats have funded $36 million to these riots? Do you understand that?
Funded? I need to see what you're talking about.
Actually estimated that the
look it up. I'm not going to do your research for you.
You're not going to do any research.
Have been funded for these riots.
You're not going to do any research. You don't even know what the statutes are. So.
Hey, Ronald,
yeah.
Ronald, settle the fuck down, bro. Like literally, settle down because you're just getting dog walked from everyone.
Weren't you just screaming at me to shut the fuck up?
Yeah, I was because that's.
Okay, why do I need to settle down?
You have a child mentality, bro.
Arguments, and I respect his arguments. He's not getting dog walked. He's giving legitimate.
I don't understand why you guys.
However,
I think we can have this conversation without being. I think we can have this conversation without talking about people getting dog walked, all that kind of stuff, etc. All I'm trying to say to you is,
I don't think so. I think that's exactly what's happening.
The president of the.
Okay, yeah, move on to his thing.
But I'm just gonna say this: Have any of us been to LA in the last like 5 years?
Yes,
I have a friend that currently lives in LA, and he said that the riot.
Go to that shithole until.
I've been out to LA
do realize
quite a bit in the last 5 years.
Serious question: How many of you guys have actually been to LA in the last 5 years?
I've been out there quite a bit in the last 5 years.
The reason why I'm asking is because. Okay, so then here's my question: This is only occurring within what, like a 6-block radius?
Nope.
Right? This is like what, a 3-6 block radius?
Yeah, it's been
6 blocks. No way.
You?
It's only in a 6-block radius. It's in downtown LA. If you look at LA,
they contained
right?
it.
Jesus, I had to get out of there.
LA,
they contained it.
Good luck, guys.
Oh my God.
They had to contain
mind you,
and I just want to, damn it, I wanted to point out to Reynolds before he left. Newsweek estimated that the current damage caused by these riots is $500 million.
Yep.
he cited that to prove that the Democrats were funded. Okay, I have no idea what to say. Okay, thank you.